Hey everyone, welcome back to the Living in Maryland channel where we discuss all things living here in the great state of Maryland. So if that's the kind of information that you are looking for, then you are definitely in the right spot. And today, jumping right into it, we are doing a real estate market update for our Maryland real estate market here. So jumping right into it, we are definitely starting to see some changes, although they are very small, and I expect them to probably continue to happen that way. So there's things that are happening. We're starting to see more homes come on the market, but it's not happening, very quickly, and it's not really, big changes happening in any quick amount of time. So this is something to definitely keep an eye on. We are starting to see we're kind of in a weird place where we're starting to see reduction in overall sales. So the number of actual homes selling month over month and year over year starting to go down again. So we're seeing less homes actually selling, but we're also starting to see our inventory start to creep up a little bit. So according to Maryland Association of Realtors, we are now at around 2 months of inventory at a state level. Of course, some of your more competitive counties, like Howard County, for example, it could be near almost half of that, could be closer to a month of inventory. So it's important, depending on where exactly you're going to be looking at, to kind of get an idea of exactly what that local zip code can look like as far as a market in general, and at the county level what it could look like, because some of these state numbers could be a little off. But overall, our inventory is starting to grow a little bit, which is interesting because the number of overall home selling is actually going down. So it's kind of in a weird spot, but this is kind of the trend that we're slowly starting to see here. Also wanted to mention that our average sales price year over year is up 4.5% at a state level within Maryland. And then our median sales price is up 4.1%. So again, kind of interesting. So number of homes selling going down, inventory slowly going up, and prices still going up. So I would expect those, with those first two things that I just mentioned, they're happening. I would expect the price of homes to start slowing. So I would imagine in 6 months, we're not going to see, over 4% average or median price up. I would think, who knows what's going to happen, but hopefully, we'll start to see that number slow just a little bit, so people can, start having a little more affordability in the market. And if interest rate easing comes, in combination with that, that could be a good thing to help overall affordability. Because I think in general, that's where the market's at right now, especially within Maryland, is just the affordability is just not there for a lot of people. So you've got very few homes overall selling, therefore it only takes so many people to kind of keep the train moving right now. So as inventory starts to grow, if we can't get more affordability for buyers to come in and backfill that inventory, who knows what that could look like. So also want to give people an update on where interest rates are at. So I always like to give people, kind of an idea of where that's at. There's been a lot of movement in the last month. So we had the Fed, a little while back do a 50 basis point cut, and ironically, interest rates started going up from there, which was, not really expected. So I think what happened there is there was a lot of expectation going into that first rate cut, and rates were, I think, a little over 6 at that point. And maybe those drops were kind of already baked in just on the expectation of that rate drop. And then now, ironically, since that rate drop, now we're actually closer back to 7. So, kind of interesting. Even though the Fed dropped, we had mortgage rates go up. And the big, one of the big things I like to let people know about is that when the Fed drops rates, that is the overnight rate that they're doing. So what institutions are lending to each other, that can have impact on things like credit cards, line of credit, auto loans. But mortgage rates are different. Mortgage rates are really set on Wall Street, essentially, because when you're getting a mortgage, your mortgage is going to be packaged together with other mortgages, and they're going to be sold as a security instrument directly to investors, institutions, other countries, all different types of investors. So as demand, depending on what demand looks like on a daily basis, and even within the day, for a mortgage-backed security, that's going to impact if rates are going to go down or up on that particular day. So just kind of, on a basic level, that's kind of where mortgage rates are going. If you're seeing them go up in a particular day or in a particular, time frame, there's less demand for that. So the rates pushed up to attract more demand for investors to purchase that mortgage-backed security. And then another thing that I wanted to mention is we've got our median days on market. So in 2023, our median days on market was 8 days. Here in 2024, it's 11 days. So as I mentioned in the beginning of this video, we're seeing slow changes. So over the course of a year, we've got an increase median days on market by 3 days. So not huge movement over the course of 12 months. But again, I think we're going to slowly see these things kind of ease and neutralize as we continue to move forward in time. But again, it's not going to be something that happens overnight. So if you're a buyer or seller thinking about jumping in the market, whether it's today or whether it's 6 to 12 months from now, just kind of keeping in mind, some of these small changes continuing to maybe come into the marketplace. And it's just going to be something that is going to happen slowly over time. So that's not a huge amount of time. So 11 days on the market. If your home's selling in under 2 weeks, that's pretty good and pretty quick overall. But at the same time, we are starting to see a lot more homes, sit on the market a month or two, and then maybe, having to do price reduction. So it's all coming into, how well is the home showing for the price point that it's at. So homes that show well and are priced well out the gate are still tending to sell within the first week or two. If it's off a little bit, that's when you're going to start seeing those homes, starting to sit, a more significant amount of time, and then potentially looking at doing price reductions if, the homeowner is serious about selling and wanting to get people through the door. So, kind of interesting where we still have numbers that show seller's market. But then again, it's still not uncommon at this time to see a home sit for 30, 60, plus days if it's not priced right. So all things to kind of keep in mind, depending on what side of the transaction you may be coming into this market as, whether a buyer or a seller, things to kind of keep in mind depending on what your goals are. As always, just like to mention that I am a licensed realtor here in the great state of Maryland. So if you ever have any real estate questions, whether you're looking to buy or sell or just thinking about it and wondering if it's the best move for you at this time, feel free to reach out anytime. We would love to assist and answer any questions that you may have about jumping into this real estate market. And then lastly, just wanted to mention that again, things continue to slowly move towards being a more neutral market. So I know we talked about, in the last year or two, we were talking about how crazy of a seller market it is. It is still technically a seller market. We are, as I mentioned in previous videos, we're under 3 months of inventory still currently sitting around, 2 at a state level. Some of these counties are a little less. So the numbers say seller's market, meaning there's more buyers than there are sellers. So you're going to see, you're only going to see limited options out there, and you're going to see a lot of homes still selling fast. But the overall terms of the market and the contracts that I'm seeing are beginning to be more and more neutral, which is good. So we're not seeing like buyers in general having to waive things like inspections and pay, a lot of these fees that they didn't normally have to pay years and years ago. So we're starting to see those things neutralize. I'm seeing a lot of buyers get home inspections, which is, good for buyers. And just kind of seeing those more neutral terms where we're not seeing prices bid up, significantly. We're seeing less and less escalation clauses being used in general. So, those things are starting to continue to kind of normalize and become more normal in most zip codes and most markets that I see here within Central Maryland. So all signs are pointing towards our market continuing to neutralize and become more of a level playing field for buyers and sellers. With that said, we're still seeing, year over year, every month here recently, we're still seeing prices up. So depending on kind of where you're at, if you're a buyer, just being aware of that. And then if you're a seller, just being aware that the market's going to continue to normalize it. It may not be anymore where you stick your home on the market and then 4 or 5 offers coming in that first weekend, unless you're underpricing your home, a good bit. To generate that activity, you're probably not going to see that crazy activity that we were talking about in the last 1 to 3 years. So, all things to be aware of depending on, which side of the transaction you may be coming into, and some people maybe both. So you might be looking to buy and then sell or do them simultaneously. So if you ever have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And that is the current state of our market. So I'll definitely keep you guys posted on any changes, and we will see you at the next video.